Good morning. We will wait for a couple of minutes more so that everyone can join, and then we start. Okay, I think we can slowly start while uh, other people join. Just a small comment, please make sure that your microphones are muted so that we can minimize the noise, and also don't bother the speakers. Good morning to everyone joining us today. My name is Martina Ferraras-Nieder. I am from Artico ITS Europe, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to this joint webinar, which is called Multimodal Mobility Hubs for Climate Neutral Cities, People, Goods and Data. Just a small disclaimer, we are recording this session. This is an open webinar and the recording will be made public on YouTube. So if you do not wish to appear, please switch off your camera or inform us in the chat and we can take the appropriate measures. We are very excited about this session because it brings together three major European initiatives and projects, which are CIVINET Iberia, metaCCAZE, and Mobilities for EU, that are all working towards accelerating the transition to climate neutral urban mobility. And today we will dive into how multimodal mobility hubs are reshaping both passenger transport and urban logistics, being places where people, goods, and data usually converge. Because these hubs are not just new pieces of infrastructure, but they can really be catalysts of integrated mobility ecosystems and support decarbonization, digitalization, and better quality of life in cities more in general. I'm also delighted to be here today with my colleague Gretel Schei from CIVINET Iberia, who is co-moderating this session with me. And we are also very fortunate to have three leading experts, each representing one of our co-organizing initiatives, and each bringing a unique perspective on multimodal mobility hubs. And I will introduce them in full right before their presentations. But just to give you a quick overview of who you will be hearing from today. To begin with, we have Professor Maria Kamargianni from the MaaSLab and representing metaCCAZE, who will speak about the Limassol case. She will talk us through the strategic planning and early development of a new multimodal hub that aims to reshape the mobility on the island. After that, we will have Francis Weiß from the city of Dresden and part of the project's Mobilities for EU, who will be presenting the case of the city's MobiPunkte. Dresden is a European pioneer in building multimodal mobility hubs, and we look forward to see what makes their model so special and work so well. And last but not the least, we have Pedro Moreira from the municipality of Braga and representing CIVINET Iberia. Braga is also an observer city of metaCCAZE, so he's wearing two hats today. And with the example of Braga, we will explore how cities can plan logistic hubs that reduce congestion, improve efficiency, and support the greener freight movement at a broader level. But before we meet our speakers, let me briefly set the scene by introducing the three co-hosts of this webinar and the wider community that connects them. Many of you are probably familiar with Civitas, but for those who are new, Civitas is one of the European Commission's flagship programs supporting the mobility and transport priorities of the European Green Deal. And the initiative promotes a strong network of over 330 European cities focused on sustainable urban mobility and decarbonization. And they do that through peer-to-peer exchange, regional networking, dedicated trainings, and also political engagement. And the Civitas projects are funded under Horizon Europe. And within this very large and active community, CIVINET Iberia serves as the local network of Civitas in Spain and Portugal. So the mission of this local network is to promote sustainable mobility across both countries and facilitating knowledge transfer, practical exchanges, and collaborative transport projects that, of course, are user-centered. Since 2023, the CIVINET Iberia Secretariat is managed by Bubble Smart Cities, Iberia. Then we also have two projects, as I said, behind today's webinar, two EU-funded Civitas projects. One is metaCCAZE and one is Mobilities for EU. metaCCAZE is coordinated by Artico and brings together 44 partners from 12 countries who are trying to develop solutions that are electric, automated, connected, and net zero, with a focus on both passengers and freight. We have 4 trailblazer cities that are Amsterdam, Munich, Limassol, and Tampere, where we will test and demonstrate innovative technologies and services for 1 year. And then the successful solutions will be transferred to 6 follower cities, which are Athens, Krakow, Gozo, Milan, Miskolc, and Poissy in the Paris region, as you can see from the map. And just to give you an example, some of the solutions include automated vehicles for waste collection, but also for public transport, cargo bike hubs and multimodal hubs, strengthening the EV infrastructure together with advanced charging technologies, or even on-demand minibuses for school students. So we have a very heterogeneous group of use cases. Our second co-host project is Mobilities for EU, and it's coordinated by Cartif and brings together 29 partners from 9 European countries. The demonstrations take part in 2 cities, 2 lead cities that are Madrid and Dresden, with a particular focus on electrification, automation, and connectivity technologies. And they're also targeting both passengers and freight mobility. And some of the innovative aspects covered include expanding the electric vehicle infrastructure and charging technologies, but also creating safe and comprehensive cycling and pedestrian networks, working, for example, on school mobility plans, or also adaptive traffic management systems. And they also have 5 replication cities, which are Ioannina, Trencin, Espoo, Gdansk, and Sarajevo, who will adapt and replicate the solutions tested by the lead cities. So what we can say to wrap up this short presentation is that these 3 initiatives and projects really share a commitment to a more integrated, climate neutral, and of course, inclusive mobility. And without further ado, to lead us to the beginning of the session, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Professor Maria Kamargianni, who is the director and founder of MaaSLab, Mobility as a Service Lab. She is a honorary professor of Transport System Innovation and Sustainability at UCL, University College London. Her areas of research include travel behavior, new mobility services and technology, mobility as a service, transportation modeling, but also transportation system analysis, market research, and econometrics. And she works very closely with public authorities and the industry to transfer her research outputs to the real world. And today she will be presenting the building of the first multimodal mobility hub in Limassol. So without further ado, I'm happy to leave the floor to you, Maria.
Thank you, Martina, and thank you for the introduction. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Now which screen can you see?
We are seeing the notes, not the main one.
Okay. Now?
Now, yes,
Okay.
perfect.
Okay. As Martina mentioned, I am going to focus on a multimodal mobility hub that we prepare for Limassol. Limassol is a little bit of background about Limassol to understand the situation. Limassol is a city in Cyprus. It is the second largest city in Cyprus with a population of something less than 300,000 residents. Is the only mission city of Cyprus with a climate city contract signed, and it has been awarded with the EU mission label. And lately, the last decade in the city experiences rapid economic and social changes. We have seen a boom in the economic and touristic economy of the city, and the population of the city increases steadily, and especially after the two recent wars. A lot of companies and thousands of employees have been relocated to Limassol. However, this boom in construction and economy is not synchronized with the transport system, let's say, update. And although the residential sector increases a lot and steadily, the transport system has remained the same for decades now, and we have reached a point that is quite difficult to accommodate all the travel demand. And we face a situation where 92% of the trips in the city are conducted by private vehicles. So against this background, how I go to the next slide. So against this background, and as part of the metaCCAZE project, we develop 4 main use cases for the city, all focusing on advancing the transport system. And one of these use cases and solutions is the construction of a multimodal mobility hub for the city. The criteria for doing the multimodal mobility hub was that we have to offer a location in certain parts of the city in order to the citizens, the residents that live in the outskirts of the city to be able to park their vehicles and continue their trips into the core part of the city with other transport modes instead of their private vehicles. So we were looking for an area that will be able to accommodate different transport modes, public transport, on-demand buses, taxi, car sharing, bikes, bike sharing, an area that will be connected with the highway of the city. It is a major road that actually splits the city into half, but it is a road that everybody uses in order to enter the core part of the city. And then we were looking for an area that will be connected with the existing bike lanes that the city has, but also with the planned bus lanes that will be released pretty soon in Limassol. In addition, the plan is that the multimodal mobility hub would not just be a parking hub for all these transport modes. We want to pay attention also on the experience of the users and also try to provide them facilities, amenities in order to reduce potential negative effects of waiting and transit time. So as such, we would like to find an area that we would be able to have greenery, trees, to be able to install waiting areas, restroom areas, canteens, collection points, ATMs, and water fountains. So after assessing around 14 locations around the city, we concluded that the location marked with the red dot here is the right location to be used as the area that we are going to develop the multimodal mobility hub. It meets all the criteria that we had in mind. It is close to the highway and the entrance to the core part of the city. It is used by residents that live both in the east side and the west side of the city. And it is also connected with the bike lanes. And here we will also have soon the bus lanes. So the location met most of the criteria that we had in mind, but it was not a publicly owned space, so we had to start the negotiations with the owner of the land in order to convince them to get the space and make it start making the procedure for building the multimodal mobility hub. So this area is a sports center, a stadium that actually now is not the main stadium of the city, and it has started being used for other purposes. So it was a good timing for us to go with this location. So in the planning phase, apart from finding the location and agree with the owner of the location, it was also the business model. It is not only to build the mobility hub, but it is also important to be able to cover the operational expenses of the mobility hub, and also to maintain the hub and offer a high quality of experience to the users. So on the one hand, we have the expenses that is the rent for this space, that 80% was covered by the public sector, and the Ministry of Transport has already signed the agreement with the owner, and the other 20% of the rent will be paid by the company that will undertake the operation of the mobility hub. And then in the expenses, we have the operational costs and the maintenance costs. And the plan is these costs to start being covered by parking tickets for those who do not change modes. And from other sources like rent space to canteens, to collection points, ATMs, and advertising boards, in order to have a source of income to cover the expenses. So now, after doing the agreements and the draft business model about costs, expenses, and income, we are in the phase that the designs for the new mobility hub are ready and are about to be submitted for permit. So this is the area that we have secured from the stadium owner, and the hub hosts has around 300 spaces for private available for parking for private vehicles. And then we have areas for taxis, charging vehicle infrastructure for electric vehicles, conventional bikes and electric bikes, buses, and as well as some amenities for the users. In order to keep some timelines, the redesign of these areas has been divided into two phases. We have the phase one that requires, let's say, more higher. It has higher requirements for redesign, and then we have the phase two, that the Ministry of Transport will also intervene in order to prepare the terrain for parking the vehicles. In this area, actually, we have most of the multimodal infrastructure and the services that could advance the experience of users. So 2 years almost passed on trying to making the deals with the owner of the land, with the ministry, with the municipality. But now the designs of the hub are ready, and we are ready now to submit to get the permit for the redesign. We expect that also in the beginning of 2026 we will issue the public procurement for to find a company to undertake the redesign. And in the second quarter of 2026 to have the contractor that will undertake this work. In the third quarter of 2026, the actual redesign will start. It is positive that in this area already there is a lot of amenities, things there. For example, electricity is there, water is there, so there isn't a lot of work to be done in terms of this. And we will focus mainly on the redesign, aiming to deliver the hub in the beginning of 2027 to the citizens. These are the partners that work for the Limassol use cases. The multimodal mobility hub is led by the Limassol municipality, and MaaSLab is the scientific supporter to this work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maria. This was very interesting. If there are questions from the audience, feel free to write them in the chat, and then we will address them at the end of the webinar or in the chat directly. So right now, after this interesting presentation about the Limassol case, I would like to give the floor to Frances Weiß to present the case of Dresden. And Frances heads the Mobilities for EU Smart City project at the Dresden Economic Development Office. And she supports also other cross-departmental and digitalization initiatives in the state capital. But besides coordinating projects activities on site, so with local partners and with the European consortium, she focuses also on project and performance KPIs, as well as data monitoring and management. She has a lot of experience in non-university research and software development on mobility and environmental issues, which is particularly useful in this regard and in this context. And she has also supported municipal and private companies in the digitalization of energy management in an environmental consulting firm. And she holds degrees in mathematics and political sciences. So without further ado, Frances, thank you very much. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Martina. I will share my screen and I hope you see my presentation now.
Yes.
Great. So, as mentioned, I am Frances Weiß, the project lead of the Mobilities for EU at the project at the Office for Economic Development. And my topic today are the mobility hubs in Dresden, the so-called MOBI-Punkte. They have been very decisive and successful to move multimodal mobility sharing forward in Dresden. And credit where credit is due. I speak on behalf of those in the city administration who have been crucial in enabling and implementing this undertaking, which have been the Office of Urban Planning and Mobility and the Road and Civil Engineering Office. Okay, so first a few words on the city of Dresden, the cultural city by the river. It's the state capital of Saxony with over 570,000 inhabitants. It's the fourth largest city by area in Germany. And over 60% of the city are green space or woodland. So it's really a large part here. So to jump right to the point, what was the motivation of the MOBI-Punkte? So we see here a multimodal split in Dresden. On the left-hand side, you see the monomodal mobility users. And on the right-hand side, you see combinations of multimodal users, disregarding combinations with walking. So the first observation and assessment was that a majority of Dresden inhabitants regularly change their mode of transport. And the second slide on this, here you can see on the top, or the line on the top signifies the number of inhabitants of Dresden, so the population size. And then the colored bars, they signify the distance traveled by all Dresden inhabitants in kilometers per working day. So the second observation is, while the travel distance decreased, the share of environmentally friendly mobility increased. So our goal was in the city, how do we support and push this trend? So and how did we go about this? We created the Mobi World. The first part of the Mobi World are the multimodal services for passenger transportation, which you can see here. So you have the bus and the tram and the ferry and the mountain railroad, which are operated by the DVB, the Dresden Verkehrsbetriebe, which is Dresden's public transport operator. And then we also offer the car sharing with the Mobi car, rental bikes, with the Mobi bikes, also cargo bikes, the Mobi cargo bikes, and also we have a collaboration on cabs. And yeah, just to mention that, in addition to this Mobi World, the marked offers the marked services. We have also city regulated but privately operated offers for bike, car, and e-scooter sharing, and also cab hiring besides the Mobi World. But to come back to that word exactly, the second part of it are our Mobi-Punkte. So the Mobi-Punkte, they are usually located near tram or bus stops, and they serve as a convenient access point to easily switch between various mobility services, so tram, bus, bike, and car sharing, as well as cab services. At several Mobi-Punkte, you can also rent the Mobi cargo bikes, and we also, sorry, I'm missed to switch the slide. And that we also offer additional services like the charging stations for e-bikes and e-cars, also public air pumps, which can be used by everyone, and also some offer free Wi-Fi services. So how did we facilitate all this? The Mobi World could only be facilitated because we brought together the expertise and competencies of various players in the mobility sector. All of them you can see here. So you see in the little bit higher than the middle, the city of Dresden, and the Teilauto is our local partner for car sharing. Next Bike is a local partner for bike sharing. The Taxi Dresden is the local partner for the taxi cab services. The VVO is the Verkehrsverbund Oberelbe, which is our regional, operational, and tariff partner. The Sachsenenergie, they play a key role in providing the necessary infrastructure for electric mobility through their charging stations. VIA was the company partner for the mobile shuttle project, which was a project from 22 to 24, which offered a call shuttle service in the city outskirts, and Menz is responsible for the app development and services. Yeah, and last but not least, all processes were are still in coordination with the state capital of Dresden. And through these partnerships, we are able to create a user-friendly and successful Mobi-Punkte network. I want to highlight one very decisive part why all of this could be done so successfully, because often the processes within the city administration are quite tedious and complicated. So the task force Mobi-Punkte was established to establish a coordinated planning process. The task force involved all administrative stakeholders, headed by the Office for Urban Planning and Mobility and the Road and Civil Engineering Office. And the effect was an acceleration of the approval and construction phases, which usually take quite long. To come to the impact and effects of the Mobi-Punkte, here are some numbers. The first Mobi-Punkt was launched in September 2018, during European Mobility Week. Now we have 68 MOBI-Punkte throughout the city. A total of more than 85 are planned until 2027. Also, the city has over 280 charging spots, all driven entirely by green energy. And the MOBI-Punkte are highly recognized by the citizens, and a significant number has already used them. Second impact in numbers on the car and bike sharing. First, the car sharing. We have over 180 car sharing points, including over 80 which are electrified. We can offer over 600 cars in total, including 125 e-cars. There are over 35 rentals per year, and there have been over 130 in total. Yeah, and this reduced this led to a reduction of over 1,500 private cars, which, if you line them up, are over 7 kilometers of parked cars in a row, which can now be used for a better purpose, like green space or walking space, or something similar. And the MOBI bike in numbers, there can be over 2,000 bikes, including 10 cargo bikes. They can be rented. It's a hybrid system with stations and free-floating bikes. There are over 6,500 rentals per day and over 2 million rentals per year. And it is the #1 bike sharing system in Germany. It's highly successful. To show this increased sharing effect even further, I have this slide where you can see after the start of the MOBI-Punkte, there has been a significant increase of Dresden inhabitants who use sharing services. And last but not least, the overall benefits for passenger ecological health and economical benefits. First, the passenger transportation benefits. It led, as I mentioned, to a significant increase in car and bike sharing, and also an increase in public transport usage, because now you can easily switch between all of these multimodal services. There has been a shift from motorized individual transport to more environmentally friendly transport modes. And also it increased the transportation system resilience, especially in times of construction works or restricted or congested roads or lines. This has been very helpful to just to get some steam off the transportation system and offer other options than the tram lines or the roads, which you would usually have to take because you only have one option available. Yeah, so to the ecological and health benefits, we have avoided a lot of greenhouse gases. We have reduced noise and land consumption, and also we improved the health of our citizens and guests through cleaner air and also the physical activity, of course. And also a very important part is, of course, always the economical side. We have numbers which are very impressive. Each euro invested in MOBI-Punkte generated an overall economic benefit of €1.80 in 2022, and by 2013 the benefit is expected to increase to almost €5. So it also really pays off economically, not only ecological health and passenger transportation wise. Yeah, and so sorry, just have to drink something. So just to sum up and give some hints to even more success factors and lessons learned, which you can also, of course, contact us afterwards about. Very good advice is establish good and stable partnerships, bundle and exploit the competencies of various partners, and avoid a statement ping pong. Do the planning on site and be concrete. And also be economic. establishing MobiPunkte is cheap, the service costs money, and at first keep it simple and solid for a fast city-wide upscaling. So the focus was to, or like instead of have only a few MobiPunkte which have all encompassing services, it was decided that we implement numerous MobiPunkte fast and cover a large area. And very important is also care for the public communication and outreach, make the services and benefits easy to understand and simple to use. Corporate design is very important for the identification, also the familiarity with the service. Do campaigns and evaluations along the way. And also very important for public communication and also for the green of the city, never cut down trees or seal green space to implement your Mobi services. Yeah, and with that, I want to say thank you for your attention. And I want to invite all of you to come to Dresden and experience the Mobi world yourselves. So yeah, happy to take questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Francis, and we look forward to coming to Dresden soon. And then I will switch directly to Pedro. Brief introduction. Pedro is the head of the Public Transport Coordination Unit and the Urban Intelligence Center at the city of Braga, where he leads the Municipal Transport Authority, the city's Traffic Management Center, and the Intermodal Transport Hub, so a lot of things. He has over 20 years of experience in mobility, urban planning, operational management, and he oversees the city's major mobility innovation, digitalization, and sustainable projects. He's also a member of the EGUM, the European Commission's expert group on urban mobility, co-chair of the EIT Urban Mobility Cities Club, ambassador of CIVINET Iberia, and a national expert in the ISO Technical Committee on Telematics for Transport. He is an engineer by training with a degree from the University of Minho and both a postgraduate specialization and a master's degree in transport from the University of Porto. And having said that, I will leave the floor to you, Pedro, so that you can tell us a bit more about the example of Braga. I think you're muted.
And you are absolutely right. I was muted. Well, good morning, all of you, and thank you for the invitation. I think you are seeing my screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Today, as part of this presentation, I want to show how we are integrating multimodal mobility, urban logistics, and data intelligence to accelerate the transition towards a climate-neutral city. Our approach is obviously and mainly centered on people, goods, and data, and all within a single ecosystem that supports efficient, inclusive, and sustainable mobility. But first of all, sorry, it's not moving. Now it is. I want to present Braga. So our city, Braga, is a very dynamic urban center in the northern Portugal. It's the home of around 210,000 residents and a broad daily population that reflects its regional centrality in this region. Over the last decade, the city has shifted from a infrastructure-led mobility planning to a strategy based on sustainability, but also integration, and one of the main issues or the main parts or the main concerns is about digitalization. So we want to combine active mobility, public transport, intelligent traffic management, parts of the sectors that I'm responsible for, but also these logistic solutions in line with the EU Urban Mobility Framework and the ambition of the strategy that we have reflected in our sustainable urban mobility plan. So we have a sustainable urban mobility plan for around 5 years that we are implementing, and it is our strategy for the city for the next 10 years, and we have been implementing it slowly, but with the strategy well defined. For us, sustainability is not only about reducing emissions. As we say in our Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan, it's also about improving the access, the inclusion, and at the end of the day, the quality of urban life. So, regarding the hubs and the subject that brings us here, Braga has restructured its regulatory framework for loading and unloading. It's implementing right now micro-logistics in the most sensitive areas, and it's improving and trying to improve the park and ride connections for goods and passengers. These measures obviously improve our road safety. But we also want, and mainly we want to support the active mobility. So our share, the share of our active mobility is still very low. So we need to do this support as part of our strategy for the city. But we also want to use public space in a more rational way, something that we think that right now is not yet done. Our approach follows obviously the principles of the SAMP and wants to give priority to the efficient use of our public space, but also to curbside space and protecting our historical center. We have a quite big historical center. It's the biggest pedestrian area in our country. So it's one of our main concern is to preserve that historical center. Focusing on goods, that's the main project that we are developing in our city, or at least the ones that I'm following. I want to show the first example. And our first example is a stand track. This system introduces a unique identification code that ensures full parcel traceability without relabeling. And that is vital to support the collaboration among these logistic operators. We were piloting this solution with CIVINET, Madrid, and Milan, and we are reinforcing the interoperability, helping them to reduce the operational costs and helping also to reduce congestion in critical urban areas. So the idea of stand tracks is mostly to pilot it at with the support of these cities, but it's going to be implemented in the private sector. So we want the private sector also to reflect the European recommendations on data-driven collaborative logistics and the need for the cities to take an active role in organizing these freight flows, or at least this freight these freight procedures between this private sector, these private operators. Another quite interesting project that we pilot was Nimble. This Nimble project complements the strategy by rethinking the last mile. We used digital tools, smart lockers, and we also optimized the delivery routes. And we proposed to these operators more efficient time windows and reduce the pressure during the peak traffic hours. This project, these Nimble projects, support a shift to a cleaner freight mode, particularly the cargo bikes and the existing of micro distribution hubs. We, as a city, we are aligning these logistic operations with a broader objective of reducing emission and improve the overall traffic flow. This one is one of our most recent projects, and it's one of the projects that I like the most, because SociLib adds an essential social dimension to last mile delivery. So together with the city of Lugo in Spain, our neighbors, and other partners like universities and the Red Cross and so on, we are designing a model of inclusive last mile logistics that involves and trains vulnerable groups. The project develops a conceptual model for a micro hub, an e-commerce platform, and a last mile shaping app. So this last mile ensures that innovation contributes to a just transition in this same project. So we want to have this very flexible mode of distribution. We want the option of this last mile sharing, but we also want to have a just transition between these two models. And this is obviously fully aligned with the objectives of the Social Climate Fund and our commitment to reducing mobility poverty in all its forms. I think that when we talk about these last mile sharing apps, and there's a lot of them, we are not still looking at the social side of it, and we need to do so. So this project aligns these three sectors, these three layers of digitalization, distribution, and social layer in same project, making this transition more fair. Another project that I'm going to show you in more detail is LogIUps. And this project is another strategic project that Braga is implementing. Braga, as most of the cities, faces several structural challenges in urban logistics. Increase in traffic, congestion, we need more sustainable freight operations, the integration of logistics into strategic urban planning, and of course, the broader goal of decarbonization. Through LogIUps, we are developing a data-driven decision-making platform that allows us to understand how logistics actually behaves in our territory. This means moving from intuition to evidence, identifying real stopping partners, measuring inefficiencies, and also modeling scenarios for the improvement of the logistics sector. By the end of project, we want to have a very robust data visualization platform capable of optimizing the location of urban logistic hubs and supporting more consolidated, more coordinated, and cleaner logistic operations across the city. And I'm going to show you how we are doing that. Right now, we are engaging 20 logistic operators, mapping distribution centers, delivering zones, and loading points in the city. The detailed analysis compares formal loading areas with the actual stopping behavior of the commercial vehicles. And for us right now, we are still, the project didn't end yet, but the results are clear. There's a lot of stops that occur outside the regulated areas, and some official loading bays are totally unused. This provides a strong evidence based on a strong evidence based on data that help us to redesign the curve management and obviously to replicate this methodology in other European cities. I'm going to show just briefly some examples. This is a comparative analysis between the movements and the stops by overlaying the two layers, the designated loading base and the real stopping locations. We can identify mismatches and inefficiencies. This enables target interventions, improved regulation, and smarter enforcement. It also opens the door to something that we really want to happen, is to have some predictive management using sensors, data analytics, and our urban traffic control center. And with that, we can assure that urban logistics is totally integrated with this wider mobility system. Another example that I can also show right now is how we can define last mile up location and how we can analyze that. We analyzed the potential location for a last mile logistic hubs dedicated to cargo bike distribution. So we used the isochron filtered and the main routers used by the light commercial vehicles. And we identified areas within a 10-minute cycling radius on the city center. So with this tool, we are getting help on reducing the number of commercial vehicles circulating in our historical center. And we also can support introduction of cleaner vehicles for these short distance deliveries. We already thought about this in our SAM, is one of the measures that we wanted to implement. But this also reinforces our commitment to this micro logistics for the more restricted access zone. So to conclude, and thank you for your patience, our strategy for urban logistics combines obviously the infrastructure, the regulation, the data, and this social inclusion that I showed before. Projects like the one I showed and with the support of EIT Urban Mobility help us deepen this approach and align our local actions with the European objectives for the climate neutral and for inclusive cities. With these projects, with future projects, obviously, we remain fully available to collaborate, to share data, to exchange methodologies, and hopefully to co-develop solutions that can benefit our cities and also the sectors that we are working on. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Pedro, and as well, Francis and Maria. This has been like very, very insightful presentations and walk through the projects that you have been managing. I think this definitely shows the potential and the diversity of functionalities that mobility and logistic hubs can serve in a city, and as well the importance of partnerships and inclusivity and participation, the practical design, and also the economic and business perspective to make these viable projects. We are now over the time, but I did want to ask something very brief from all of you, the speakers. So maybe if there's one takeaway that people should take with them after this webinar, from what you have experienced and what you have walked us through, like what would be that takeaway? You can focus on the subjects that you were focused on, but what would be that takeaway that you're like, people should remember this from our presentation? Maria, do you feel ready to share that?
Our most recent experience is the bureaucracy, so we have to be prepared for the bureaucracy and work with all the ecosystem in order to move faster for construction of hubs.
And maybe one piece of advice to handle that bureaucracy?
Is to bring all the involved stakeholders around the table and speed up the process.
Excellent. Francis, I see you showing a thumbs up. You're agreeing with this.
Yeah, that's the reason for the task force. Yeah, so I would add a second takeaway. Yeah, keep it simple. Don't overdo it with and want to do all at once. Keep it simple, but do it for the citizens. So make everyone participate, communicate well, and yeah, don't do a few things for a few people, but spread throughout the city. It should be, everyone should be everyone should take part of it. Exactly.
Thank you. And Pedro?
Well, I think I'm also aligned, but probably I would focus on the engagement of the stakeholders. When we are talking about the logistics sector, we are talking about a sector that is 100% private. So the municipalities should be like a neutral facilitator. But it's very important that we understand each part of these stakeholders' problems and issues, and to combine them with the city's needs and the citizens' needs. So the engagement of stakeholders and how we do that is very important to implement this kind of projects.
Absolutely. Well, I think for everyone who have been listening, there has been like lots of insights and really interesting points to take away, replicate these ideas. There is much more that you can also keep on learning from these great professionals. Also in the websites of the projects, metaCCAZE, Mobility, CIVINET, there are plenty of examples of how things are being designed, implemented, results. So with that, I will thank you everyone, each of you, for joining us today. Also, Ertico Steinbeis, who have helped also organize this webinar. And we'll see you next time, hopefully very soon. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye-bye.
nice day. Bye-bye.
Qualità necessaria adesso.